Welcome to Five Guys, Movies, and Fries. This is a podcast where four guys discuss movies. I'm Joe. Today I'm joined by Nacula.
Hello.
Jeff.
Yup.
And Will.
Hiya.
So in our run of fantasy films that we're watching, first we watched The Never-Ending Story. Now we're watching The Fall, or we already watched it. None of you had seen this going into it, right?
Correct.
Well, it's called The Fall. It's directed by Tarsem. It's from the year 2006. Personally, I think it's a masterpiece. It's the only movie he ever directed that he wrote, and I don't think he's ever going to do that again because this movie was such a labor of love for him. If you didn't know, this movie was essentially written by a 6-year-old Romanian girl who didn't speak any English at the start of it. There was also some outright deception involved in the making of this movie. There was a lie told to the whole cast and crew, and they were livid when they found out, and we'll get into that.
Oh, spicy.
There was so many locations used when they made this movie. Even the director, Tarsem, doesn't know how many countries they filmed in. He says it's at least 24. IMDb says at least 28. It was pretty much on every continent except Antarctica, maybe Australia. This movie is about a little girl with a broken arm and a man in a bed who did a stunt for a movie, who meet, and he tells her stories, but he has a secret agenda. This movie has beautiful fantasy scenes, great costumes, beautiful locations. The child acting is honestly the best I've ever seen. There's themes of unrequited love, coping with disability, suicide. Trigger warning for discussions of suicide. The storytelling aspect of this movie is self-reflexive. We see Roy's story filtered through Alexandria's imagination. And we should definitely go through all the Easter eggs and the little touches, the self-reflexive bits. Like, I know there's a Wizard of Oz type thing where all the characters in the story have counterparts in real life, aka they're people Alexandria knows or has at least seen. I really love that this movie is about the old Hollywood, the silent film era. You guys know that I love it. Let's get into initial thoughts. What do you think about it, Knack?
Loved it. Absolutely loved it. I really like the use of practical effects and minimalist performances when we're in the middle of the story, because since we're seeing the story kind of blended together between Roy and Alexandria, the very like it I want to say minimalist performances from like the actors and both their dialogue and their physical performances make it more credible as a child's imagination. I feel like if there were more CGI effects or more like I don't know, play style, maybe not even plays. If there were high caliber acting done like Daniel Day-Lewis, it wouldn't have made it more as credible if in being a child's imagination. The very small movements, the easy to follow dialogue, it really put me in a place. It really put me in Alexandria's mind as a child.
We even get like these cute little nods to it being her imagination, like when they're being tortured in the middle of the desert, that one guard is like licking the ice because that's what she thinks.
Yeah.
That makes that dude mad.
Yeah. Well, and like all the guards, they're wearing the helmet that the guy wears into the X-ray room.
Yeah, the radiation techs.
Yeah. How that turned into the uniforms for odious guardsmen. Yeah. I really like that too.
Also, love how all the guardsmen like make animal noises all the time. Not sure what's up with that, but definitely childlike imagination.
She worked on an orange grove, so. Maybe I don't know if that has a whole lot to do with animals being nearby, but
it's like hyena laughs and shit. Like I wonder if she like equates these more dangerous animals to being evil, and that's why she envisions the guards making those noises. You know what I mean?
No, that makes sense. I'd
agree with that. Yeah,
an antagonistic entity. Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. I was shocked to see the first name I recognized as David Fincher. I didn't know he was involved in this until the opening credits.
And
But
Spike Jones?
yeah.
Well,
Yes.
here's the thing about that. They weren't really involved. This movie was in production for a long time because Tarsem financed it himself. So David Fincher and Spike Jones essentially just donated money to get it to the finish line.
That's cool.
Thank God for them anyways.
Yeah, that makes me feel even better about knowing that it's not they're not wholly involved. Yeah. Knowing that
Not
it's
at all
Tarsem's-
involved, yeah.
Yeah.
Lee Pace he's gone on to be a bigger celebrity, but at the time he wasn't known at all. He was
Yeah,
in
really.
Pushing
Jeff
Daisies.
was mentioning like this seems like a standout role for Lee Pace because I've
Fuck
probably seen him
yeah.
in one or two things, but he nails it.
Dude, the scene, I mean, every scene with him in Alexandria is just like so fucking real.
Oh, it's charming as hell. Yes.
I straight up wrote that I'd watch a movie of just those two telling stories with each other, like to each other. That it'd just be so fucking adorable.
Well, that's kind of how the movie was written. It was essentially them improvising things together with Tarsem giving them cues or briefs, as he called them, on what they should say, and then they filmed all the story aspects of the movie within the next 2 years.
So it is improvised kind of then.
Yeah,
it is kind of improvised. Yeah,
See, a lot of
awesome.
Alexandria's words were largely unscripted, and you could tell that. You see Lee Pace like repeating lines to her and just getting a response out of her, and it's adorable.
And
Cute.
there's like stuttering in their word. It made it so fucking real feeling, which was.
There's something to be said about the fact that she wasn't scripted and how that comes off, because I've seen a lot of child actors scripted and I always bounce off of it. But I did not bounce off her character at all because she felt like an actual fucking child. You know what I mean? It just pulled me so much more into it.
It was genius. If you want a realistic child in your movie, you should fucking do it this way. Like, it worked so well.
Yeah, it's probably the only way to have a 6-year-old give this type of performance.
Yeah.
My initial thoughts are wrapped. But yeah, love it. Love the movie.
Sweet. What do you think, Will?
Oh, I'm right there with Knack, and I'm pretty sure Jeff agrees. Yeah, this movie is just a fucking banger, dude. Didn't know a damn thing going in. It's funny that David Fincher and Spike Jones have like nothing to do with it too, because when their names popped up, I was like, oh, this is gonna be a really good movie.
It provides an expectation. It does.
Yeah. So I mean, hey, I guess that works for them too, you know. Like, yeah, I don't know, man. This movie was so good. I have like a couple itty bitty issues with it, but overall, like, everything is so fucking well done. Some of the transitions that they do in this movie from scene to scene are legitimately the best transitions I've ever seen in a movie.
That transition from the stony-faced priest into the desert is probably one of the best transitions I've seen in cinema history.
That one is top tier. I wanted to call out the butterfly into the island as well. That
too.
Legitimately my favorite transition I've ever seen before.
Well, that was a real island shaped like a butterfly. Like
That's
Tarsem said, he didn't use a lot of CGI. He found locations.
Sick. What a fucking genius. Like, legitimately, that's so fucking smart and well done.
The other good ones are where he presses his hand on the coffee and it turns into a hand, which I guess is like blood or something.
Yeah, because isn't he pushing on like his dead brother or whatever, and like the blood? Yeah, that's such a fucking good scene too, dude. God damn.
And there's one that's kind of hard to catch where Roy is sort of, when he's supposedly overdosing, and he's twisting his hand through the air, and that transitions to the wedding where the dancers are all spinning. But I just want to point out that, like I said, they filmed the hospital scenes first in order, and then they filmed all the story aspects years later. So he had to plan these transitions ahead of time.
Wow.
So he had Roy twisting his hand, just knowing that in a couple of years he would be filming dancers spinning and that it would just work perfectly.
And what a set of anticipation for a director. Like, wow.
This dude's like a straight up like actual genius. Like, holy shit.
How does this movie have a 64% on Rotten Tomatoes? That's the fucking question.
Yeah,
I don't get
people are fucking idiots. You know what's beating this movie? Never Ending Story. Riddle me that one, motherfucker.
Kind of though.
People must not like the how dark it is, I guess.
I read a lot of the reviews and I kind of have an answer for it, but I'll wait until I'm up. to bat because
Okay.
it's one of the things I want to talk about.
Like just
Oh, yeah.
talking about that too, like the darkness like grounds this movie so well. I wrote in here that like obviously when they're in the real world it's very, you know, realistic. It's such a great period piece in those points. It feels, I mean obviously I don't know what it felt like to be in 1915 California, but fucking A, man, this is what I think it's like for sure. And then the like the imagination, you know, world, it just has this weird like kind of strange cleanliness to it is the best way I can describe it, which gives it almost this like ethereal otherworldly feeling, you know, and but that lends credence to it being in a child's imagination. You know, it wouldn't be super realistic seeming, you know, because they're just imagining weird shit, right? Like that's how a child thinks. So I fucking love that. I loved how it was like really disjointed too, and like the scenes, especially in the imagination world, were just like disjointed is the right word. Yeah, they just kind of like didn't connect perfectly, but that makes sense because like kids' thoughts they're kind of jumbled and they don't have like a perfect stream of consciousness, right? I really fucking love this movie. I think this is the most notes I've ever taken because after I watched the movie, I know we've talked about this a little bit about trying to, you know, dive a little bit more in depth into like themes and the philosophy of the movie and what it's trying to go for and stuff. But after I watched the movie, I straight up wrote like 2.5 pages of just like my thoughts on that. Yeah, just for initial thoughts, fucking top tier. Loved it.
Sweet.
What about you, Jeff?
Oh man.
Oh,
I really like the way that this movie shows us these characters through the eyes of the story and then building the story together. I think in the reviews that I read, it looked like a lot of people either didn't really understand that or were too judgmental of it. Because I would see a lot of things in the reviews about how the movie was disjointed or how it felt like he was like the director was embellishing, you know what I mean? Or it's like, this is what happens when you let a fucking visionary director just do whatever he wants type shit. And like, I just feel like if you watch this movie and don't feel that it's an earnest movie, then you're not getting the movie. I just can't imagine watching this movie and thinking like this feels superficial or like it's flexing. Like
yeah,
the depiction of depression in this movie is so good
it's
and
spot
handled
on.
so well.
I completely agree, dude. Like anybody saying that kind of shit about this movie is just an idiot.
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
if they're
for
saying
real,
it's
though.
all if they're saying it's all style and no substance, then that's just wrong.
Yeah,
I saw disjointed a lot in there, but like it's disjointed because we're seeing it through both of their eyes. We're seeing it through the eyes of someone who's depressed and trying to get drugs, and like a 6-year-old girl who is
yeah.
like, and
Not even
inserting
from
things
this
in her,
country,
like,
even.
yeah. So like, I don't know. I think it's handled incredibly well. You can see both of them in the stories as you watch them. You know what I mean? Like once again, that dude licking the ice, or I mean, in my opinion, the thesis statement for this movie happens towards the end when he's wrapping the story up. And she asks him why he's killing everybody. And he said, well, it's my story. And she says, it's my story too.
Holy, what a fucking line, dude. Holy
Dude,
shit.
it's so insanely impactful. Like that whole scene towards the end is some of the most earnest filmmaking I've seen. You know what I mean? Like you feel that you're there. It's just
Yes.
so intense.
And it's amazing that it's Lee Pace doing it too. Like I haven't seen a lot of things with him, but like he's always kind of been like he's like an okay actor. And then like you watch this movie and you're like, holy shit, this dude can act. And that little girl too, like she fucking kills it. She just fucking kills it, dude.
Because she's just allowed to be a kid.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? She's just,
to her this is real, right? Like, you know, in a way.
This whole movie is just about a story and like the transformative properties of a story and like what a story can mean to people.
Yeah.
Like what it means to her, giving her somebody to latch onto in this hospital, you know what I mean? What it means to him telling her this story and building this story with her is effectively what saved this man's life. You know what I mean? It's just, yeah, like we said before, I really like the shots and the way this movie looks. Yeah, just every little bit that I see of her misinterpreting everything just seems so adorable to me. Like he describes that Indian character and they make it pretty clear that he means a Native American character, but she interprets it as
Thinks
Indian. So we just
from
keep-
India, yeah.
Yeah, from
Yeah.
India. Yeah. So
He asks her to get him like 3 pills or whatever, and like so she just tosses all the other ones. Like,
yeah, she's like, you put the 3 at the end.
Well, she misread that, and that's what
right.
Yeah.
Catinca, the actress, actually did.
Oh, that's awesome. And then of course that like feeds into the movie. Of course, he would keep that in because it makes it seem that much more fucking real.
Yeah, that was a better idea than Tarsem could have came up with. Yeah.
That's fucking but having
The fact that it's in the movie is
yes.
so
having the
much.
wherewithal to like be like, "Oh, we should keep that in." Like that's so good. Like fuck, man. A lot of directors be like, "Cut that shit." It's like that's not what I fucking wanted them to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd never
Cut
see
that, cut
something
that.
like that in a Coen Brothers movie. Yeah, it's just this movie goes deep. Masterpiece is the correct term for this movie. I would definitely agree. It just
Does anyone have any other Easter eggs, as I'll call them, that they noticed?
Oh, there's like a
You say
fucking
Easter eggs
bunch.
referring to other media, other films?
No, things in the story realm that are direct references to the real world,
The-
and vice
yeah.
versa. Potentially.
The Barnum and Bailey's poster in the box.
There you go.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
And the map is also sort of like Alexandria's note. It has
Yeah.
holes in it.
The little
Yep.
pattern cut out. Yeah, I saw that too.
How about Charles Darwin? Do you know why he
No.
decided to name the naturalist Charles Darwin? Well, obviously Charles Darwin.
Yeah.
But in 1914, at that time, Charles Darwin and Russell Wallace were in the newspaper, so he took that right from the headlines. They were debating who gets credit for the theory of evolution, Charles Darwin or Alfred Russell Wallace.
That's so cool.
So Roy would have known that, and he just uses that name. Same with Otto Benga. That's a real person. It's a tragic story about a person who was in a human zoo.
Whoa.
Yes. And that was in the newspapers at the time, so that Roy would have known about that.
That's so fucking cool. God damn.
It's just smart writing.
What made her what made him add in the mystic? Like what is the real world reference to that or vice versa?
I don't know of any. Obviously Alexandria imagines the mystic as one of the people who works in the orange grove. You see that person at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
But I don't know for any other reason.
Yeah.
I was watching something about this movie, and in the video I was watching, they talk about how Alexandria is depicted as a savior character, and that's one of the reasons we constantly see her with oranges. Because if you look at old paintings of like the baby Jesus and shit as a savior, there's like oranges are meant to show his divinity, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, he even calls her a savior, so they're pretty blatant about it too. But
That's true, yeah. I never picked up on that. And also, obviously, she threw oranges at the priest. That's one of the reasons. There's a theme of teeth in this movie for some reason. Do you guys know what that's about?
Yeah. Oh,
No.
don't know what it's about. No.
Well, Catinca, the actress who plays Alexandria, she just coincidentally lost her front 2 teeth, or they fell out right before they started filming. And then he had the old man missing the teeth, so Tarsem just ran with it and just said teeth are going to be a theme. I guess, children imagine their teeth falling out, and
It's like important to them, yeah.
yeah.
what's the weird little shit that kids latch onto? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if you had a kid building a story in their head, they're going to pull from whatever's going on in their life, right? So
Yeah, just like Roy.
the way you see his mental state subtly depicted through the story that he's telling, I think, is very telling of how much thought went into this movie in general.
Yep. And you can tell that it was written by somebody who has experienced that shit like spot on.
That's the
because,
thing. Tarsem was coming right off of a divorce, so I wonder if that influenced his theme.
Oh, I'm
sure
sure it
Unrequited
did.
love, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and that's why. Oh, dude, you saying that explains why that lends more, to like at the end when he's just like, nah, fuck you to the chick.
Yeah.
I don't need no women. I just need my kid.
I have 2 questions for you. Do we want to get into that?
Sure. Yeah, we can talk about that.
Okay, one is something that Jeff has already touched on, but here it is. So what is Roy's reason for telling this story? So Jeff talked about the thesis of this movie being that Roy is saved by Katinka, and the story that they tell together is what saves him. But before even that, what is Roy's reason for telling Katinka stories?
Suicide.
Morphine.
Right?
Trick her into getting morphine.
That's the obvious answer, in my opinion.
Okay, all right.
But his story is just so sad. So what is he trying to do? Because he inserts his own love triangle into the story. Governor Odious is the big movie star guy. His girlfriend is the girl in the story, except Alexandria sees her as Nurse Evelyn.
So he has the idea to use the girl in order to get back with
He wants to live. Maybe he wants to live out the fantasy of getting back together with his ex through the story.
It's pretty much that, yeah. Well, I think Roy is just telling this story. He's inserting his unrequited love story because it's cathartic for him. It could be that it's his subconscious doing it. He wants Alexandria's pity. But if you think about it, if he just wants to exploit Alexandria to get the morphine, he could just tell a simple story. But instead, he bears his soul to her, really. Because he wants to tell his story to someone, is what I think the real reason for him telling stories.
Yeah.
That sounds really good. Yeah.
Get behind that, yeah.
Also, I think it's kind of cute that Alexandria, she saw Roy's girlfriend in the car, but yet she imagines the girl as Nurse Evelyn because she wants them to be together.
Yeah. Because she likes Nurse Evelyn.
Yeah.
I like how Alexandria still had her faults. I mean, like, lying about what toes she's touching,
fucking liar.
not interpreting her mom's full dialogue to the doctor. Just like she's still just like a child, but I like that.
Yep. And they all know it too, because the doctor even like, "Are you sure that that's what your mom just told me?" Like,
he asked me a question.
It feels so earnest. You know what I mean? Like, look at the scene at the end when they're like arguing about the characters dying off again. You know what I mean? And she's like trying to force the story in her direction, and
they're both talking at the same time. Yep.
Yeah, or like when when everybody's being tortured and she like inserts herself in and like frees everybody. You know what I mean? She's just slowly wresting the story away from him.
It was your daughter the whole time. Haha.
It's a very childlike thing to do.
Speaking of that toe scene, obviously that really happened. Like Katinka, she switched toes on him because that's what was supposed to happen. And then Roy really got mad at her. He had to do it for the scene, and then she refused to work for a few days.
Wow.
And that kind of leads me into my next question. What lengths is it appropriate for a director to go to get a performance? So like I said, there was a big lie about this movie. I don't know if you guys know this, but Katinka and everyone else on the cast and crew really thought that Lee Pace was confined to a bed. They thought he couldn't walk.
Oh, right. That's right. Okay.
That's fucking odd. Dude, this is the best movie ever made. Holy shit.
I forgot. Yeah.
So when he hired Lee Pace, he said, "Are you willing to lay in a hospital bed for 12 weeks?" I think it was actually like 7 weeks that they filmed the movie. Because Katinka...
I'm sure he got to leave, like when nobody was on set and stuff. Like he could just do whatever.
I don't know.
Depends on who's around. I mean, if you're constantly on set with production crew and all that, like...
Jesus.
I mean, they
that
said
makes
he would...
Lee Pace even more amazing.
I'm pretty sure he said they actually had someone helping him to go to the bathroom on set and stuff.
Lee Pace is fucking amazing. Holy shit. That's like
I can imagine that being the person that's the most pissed, the person that had to wipe his ass and then being told it was a lie.
It's just some fucking like camera guy or some shit, like an AD or whatever, and he's getting paid like $10 an hour.
Well, another just random thing about this movie is that everyone, at least in the South America crew, that's where they filmed the hospital scenes in South America, in an abandoned asylum. Everyone got paid the same amount of money because Tarsem was just doing this out of his own pocket. It was a completely communistic movie shoot.
That's so cool that they all like just worked together to make that happen. And this movie did not do well, like financially.
No, it didn't. Yeah. Tarsem believed he had to lie to everyone because if Katinka doesn't believe he's not really confined to a bed, it won't be believable. And
Yes.
if all the cast and crew doesn't believe it, someone could easily just let it slip to Katinka, and that would ruin the whole thing. Also, she was being lied to because they wanted to film scenes of her and Lee Pace together in the hospital bed. That's why there's curtains there. They hid the cameras. There was times they were filming when she didn't know
That's awesome, man.
in secret. I don't know.
And that's how they
I
got
think
that.
being filmed without your knowledge, I don't know. This is murky waters. Because if it's just people being kept in the dark to get a better performance, like do they know the cast and crew obviously knew there were cast and crew and doing a movie, right? So like the lie that Lee Pace is stuck in this bed, I don't personally see like it would be that big of a deal. I don't feel like that's going too far. That's definitely not on some Kubrick shit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Still a little fucked up morally, but yeah, like I think I don't know. That's a tough one, man, because like obviously like murder's off the table, right? Like you can't murder somebody like or actually murder them to get like a real reaction. But would it be okay to lie to them and like make it look like a real murder, so that you get real reactions and then
If
you're
it's
like,
a
no,
hidden
no,
camera
no.
prank show, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know.
No,
what
I
the
don't think
answer
so.
is.
I think the
If I
answer
need
to
to
that
give
one's
us,
no.
yeah, if I need to give like a simple answer to that, it's as long as you're not ruining lives. I can understand a director being in a really tight spot and having to get a passion project out there. But and I could take some ruining somebody's day over ruining somebody's life to get your job done.
Yeah, I think something like murder would be off the table.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah.
Well,
Oh,
because
big
the
time.
trauma from believing that you were involved in some way, shape, or form in a murder could do real psychological damage to somebody.
Yeah,
Even if only for like an hour or even like a minute. Like, yeah, that
yeah,
shit-
just about anything short of severe psychological trauma, I think. And that's still within reason. Like you're really put in a tough spot and you're really trying to get a movie made. I can accept stuff like that, but that's just me.
I gotta mention, I watched like all the DVD extras for this movie.
I
So
want to.
there's this the last scene where Katinka and Lee Pace are in the same room together. They're both crying. They're going back and forth. That was the last scene they filmed because it was filmed in order. Immediately after that, they do the reveal where Tarsem reveals that Lee Pace could actually walk.
Man. Oh no.
It's one of the cringiest things I've ever seen. Because Tarsem is just like, hey, we've got this big secret. We've all done a good job here. It's been 7 weeks. And then he doesn't want to say it. So he passes the buck to Lee Pace. He's like, do you want to say it, Lee? And he's still in a wheelchair. And Lee Pace is like, yeah, this has been great. I got a big secret. And he doesn't want to say it either. He even asks Katinka, do you know what my secret is? And of course she's like, no, I'm 6. So he just stands up and everyone claps. Everyone just applauds. Like he had actually just been healed or something.
Oh wow, yeah, that's even worse almost.
Oh, it's so weird. I don't know. I think the ends justify the means for the lies and everything they pulled.
I mean, shit, it ended up being real fucking good because of it. So
Yeah. And Katinka, she's like 26 now. She loves this movie, and I don't think she has a negative thing to say about how she was treated by Tarsem and Lee Pace. She both loved them both.
I'm sure.
That's good to know.
Yeah. Favorite? Yeah. What do you got, Jeff?
I just want to take a quick lane turn here because I just thought of something I wanted to mention and totally forgot. Did this movie feel Gilliam-esque to any of you?
Yeah.
Sure.
It's
Yeah.
just full of imagination.
This,
Yeah.
If I watched this movie and you told me this was Terry Gilliam, I'd probably believe you.
Agreed. Especially like the like the imagination world scenes. That is all Gilliam as fuck.
Not enough Dutch angles, but yeah.
Yeah, true.
What are you guys' favorite scenes?
Oh, buddy, so many. I'll let these other guys go first, though.
Sure.
If I have to pick a favorite scene, I think I actually really like the elephant swimming scene.
Yeah.
I just like that, just like the way it's shot, seeing an elephant swimming with the cast, and
Interesting
that.
cinematography there for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And that's like this whole movie, right? Like there's a ton of unbelievably good cinematography going on. Like there's some shots that you've just never seen in any other movie, and I can respect that shit. I'll throw out one of mine. I really liked just the intro scene to the party, like in the imagination world. I thought they did a really good job there, and it's interesting just seeing the different people in the party. Like it's such a unique grouping of people, and it's funny how it's actually almost like a D&D group, right? Like you got your ranger, you got your rogue, you got your fighter, the bombs expert that's pretty much an alchemist, the mystic is like a sorcerer.
Yeah.
I guess Darwin would be like, I mean, essentially a wizard, right? Because he's got like a
Yeah.
spell book basically and shit. Like,
Oh yeah.
I liked how I'm sure that was not the intent, but it's cool that like, yeah, this is like a pretty well-rounded party. They could go fuck some shit up.
I'd say Darwin is a druid. He's all about living things. He's got a
Oh,
monkey.
yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. What other scenes did you guys really like?
Obviously, that scene between them at the end of the story was a big one for me. But I think my favorite is where she inserts herself into the story, because you like see when he starts to get more depressed, or like when he gets mad because she didn't bring him the morphine or whatever, his story starts to take a turn and get darker.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time we see her plug herself in there to lighten it up, I think is just like a really solid moment.
That is nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Another one that I really, really, really loved was when the mystic shows them the way. And he just like runs into that weird terraced area, which also was so fucking interesting and unique looking, and then just like falls to the ground pretty much. And then like the camera angle there is so well done because you can't see like all the people suddenly like lifting him up or whatever, like covering him. I loved all that, and then like just the whole like dance scene that they were doing essentially to like show like where to go, and like the map like appears on his body and stuff. That I thought that was all extra, like just fucking really well done.
There's a couple things I was trying to piece together, very different ways. Earlier before, I think I can't remember if it's even before. It's when Alexandria is kind of hiding outside of the door right after meeting Roy, and she sees the horse's shadow upside down on the wall.
Yeah.
And I wanted to think that was like an introduction into the big imaginary world, but I didn't know what the real purpose of that shot was.
Yeah, it's called a camera obscura.
Yeah, okay.
It's called a camera obscura effect.
Obscura. Okay.
So it's how movies are made, essentially. And it's also a reference to a Tarkovsky film called Andrei Rublev, I think.
Was Obscura also the name of the butterfly?
No, that was
Americana
Exotica.
Exotic. Thank you. Okay, Exotica. Blah.
But that's how a camera works, is it flips an image.
Yes. Okay. That's where my brain needed to go. I was also not that it even needs kind of a kind of explaining. It's how the mystic infiltrates the Governor Odius's troops and just takes down a whole gang, like 30 troops, and just rises triumphant in the middle of all of their bodies. It was,
yeah.
And it was magical, but it also just kind of left me baffled how he did it. But he's
too unbelievable for you.
Yeah,
he's a mystic.
yes, that's all I need, really.
He's got those mystic powers. Yeah, and like
just made my gears turn a little bit to figure out like what kind of magic he used or what the fuck happened.
Lee Pace is just like, yeah, you know what? Actually, you could join the party.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Snyder topples Odious troops.
If we're still talking about favorite scenes, I think the monkey's death and Darwin's death together are pretty powerful.
Yeah, dude, absolutely.
All their deaths were super powerful.
They were all really good. The guy who was the slave, when he dies, he's getting stabbed with all the or shot with all the arrows and protecting her. Like that's fucking really good. Yeah, it was good. I was really sad when I saw Wallace die. I was like,
didn't actually kill him. The monkey was fine.
No animals were harmed in the making of this film.
Right. No, seeing these imaginary characters who have like zero lines die it's way too powerful. It's more powerful than it should be.
Yeah, it fucking works, man.
Yeah, go
ahead.
We've already talked a little bit about how Alexandria sees an Indian from India, but Roy is describing a Native American person. There's two other clues about that we haven't talked about. So Roy would know about Native American people because he's in like cowboy movies, but also the Indian, the character only says one word, and it's how, which is sort of a stereotypical greeting.
That's so corny. I love it.
Yeah.
That's something that I loved about this movie too, is that it was humorous at times and it was fucking corny at times too. It fucking goes through the gamut, you know, like
It is.
it just hits on all these different little things and in so many different ways. Man, what a banger of a movie. I really fucking loved the scene where it just does a bunch of quick cuts to people's legs getting stabbed when she falls. That is one of the best things I've ever seen in a movie. It was like hilarious. Like that was so fucking funny and also just cool. Like I haven't seen a movie ever do something like that, really.
Yeah, a lot of those shots looked like dioramas to me. The way the backgrounds portrayed and
like on a theater set almost.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
And like so and like I don't know, man. You'd never see something like that in another movie because other movies either take themselves too seriously, so they're not going to do these weird like fourth wall breaking cuts like that, or it's just going to be like just meant as just a funny thing. And yeah, it was really funny when it happened, but it was more of just like the context that made it funny.
Yeah, I didn't see how it was funny, but I thought it was really, really cool. It was just an amazing scene, yeah.
I guess what's funny about it to me is that it's just these quick it's like a meme almost, right? Like it's just showing like a bunch of quick cuts of like different people getting stabbed in the leg to show like
it's her hallucinations as she's in.
It's her imagination getting her through, because like we even get the bit where they like check her brain or whatever, like they're checking her head.
Yes, that's what I wanted to mention too. The whole concussion scene, like when it cuts to the dolls and stuff, like looking in her head, that's so fucking. No other movie would do that unless it was meant to. You know what I mean? Like it just wouldn't fit in almost any other movie. But fucking A, it works here.
It's very experimental, yeah, and it was only on screen for like 15 seconds.
Yes, very experimental for sure.
And he hired like a production company just to make that bit, which is crazy.
It was fucking worth it. Like that shit. I don't know. It just works.
Yeah.
I got another one if you guys want me to go.
Oh yeah.
I really liked. I thought the execution scene when like he's gonna blow the the love interest away, like he's gonna fucking shoot her or whatever. I loved that just because it was fucking corny as hell. Like it was so it was so bad, but it like, you know, once again lends into that like child's imagination and stuff. But I don't know, I kind of loved that actually.
And maybe like his ability to tell a story was weakening as he was falling asleep.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, because that was right then, right after he had taken apparently the sugar cubes.
Right. Yeah.
Did you guys fall for the twist there? Like, did you guys think he really was dead?
First time I saw it, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, same.
I definitely fell for it.
I was like, holy shit! Well, this movie is fucked. Which it is anyway.
I wasn't convinced, but I definitely left me up in the air about it.
I was so happy that he wasn't dead. I was like, yay! And then he just like freaks out the next scene too. Like when he realizes he didn't die, he just rages out. Yeah. Another great scene. That was like that seemed like real rage. Like
it's earnest, man.
Yeah.
It comes from an earnest, honest place.
Do you guys have any favorite quotes?
Oh yeah.
I just kind of like any of Alexandria's just unscripted stuff, especially like her mm-ms or like just her being a child on camera and I just love that.
It works, man. For God's sake, the water's only waist high.
Yeah.
That shit had me straight up cackling, dude. Like, and that's the kind of shit that I was talking about too. Like this movie, it's almost like it doesn't take itself too seriously, but at the exact right times. Like it just works. Any other movie, you'd be like, okay, like what the fuck are they doing here? It fucking fits there.
Speaking of that last scene, that is really powerful because it's him sort of coping with his disability. Like, is he ever going to walk again? The water's only waist high. You can't stand up in it. I know we were talking about quotes, but it's a good question. Do you think Roy walked again?
I think he did because she talked about seeing him in. Well, I guess that doesn't.
But the thing is, at the end, they're showing Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin movies, who did their own stunts.
Yeah.
Katinka's saying her mother told her that it's Roy doing all the stunts in those movies. Yeah, hate to burst your bubble, but Tarsem said it's sort of up to your interpretation.
I mean, it should be.
Yeah.
It's okay to leave things in the air.
Do you guys have any other favorite quotes?
I really like that story was just a trick to get you to do something for me. I think the way Lee Pace delivered that's really powerful.
Yeah, that shit hurt.
Yeah.
Jesus, dude. Going back to that same scene, like with the water's only waist high, when the famous actor guy is like floating with the sword stabbed in him, and he's like, "I'm not feeling very well." Like that just.
To go back to that scene, I think part of that whole him drowning in shallow water thing might also be a reflection of him versus other people because like you see other people talking to him and just being like, "Don't be depressed, go work." You know what I mean? Like it feels like a lot of people are telling him to just kind of snap out of it,
deal with it.
Probably telling him that he's in shallower water than he feels like he's in.
Be a man. I mean, it was 1915, so. I mean, fuck. When this came out, 2006, even depression wasn't like as widely understood as it is now. But like, if we're going by when the movie is set, they didn't even fucking know what depression was really. They were just like, "Oh, he's got the sads." Looking.
It's the kind of thing you have to know it to depict it. I feel like you'll see depression depicted in some movies, and it just feels like somebody read a Wikipedia about what it's like to be depressed. Yeah, and just put that on screen. But you see his inward rage and shit in this movie,
and a lot of that goes back to Lee Pace's acting too, right? He almost certainly has experienced some pretty severe depression too, which helped him, harness that. It's really
not
good.
Like we're diagnosing people.
Yeah. We love you, Lee Pace.
Will, you already mentioned it. What are some of the things you dislike about this movie?
The cover art.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Yeah, the poster doesn't make you want to see the movie. It looks kind of weird.
I love it now that I've seen the movie to understand, and especially when you told me that it's like in reference to a Salvador Dali painting or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that all makes me love it now. But when I first was like getting about to watch the movie and like looked it up, I was just like, oh, okay, this looks fucking weird.
And the title doesn't make you want to see it either. The Fall.
No.
Once you've seen the movie, it makes a lot of sense, and obviously it's about the different falls people take. I don't know. What do you guys think about the title?
I can never really with something as short as the and then one other word. I really don't go in any direction with it because I have to. Again, it's not. Don't judge a book by its cover. Don't judge a movie by its title. I really don't let that sway me. If it's something as short and simple as The Fall, The Cell,
That's another Tarsem movie.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
Thank you. I know it was. I know it was
pretty sure
related or recommended with this movie, so that's possible to know.
So if a movie was called Mr. Poopy's Doo-Doo Butt,
I'm gonna give it a chance.
All right, this might be.
I'm still gonna give it a shot. Yeah,
this might be the most dramatic film I've ever seen. How does his butt get poopy? Like
it's no Solo or the 100 Days of Sodom, but
if we're off of there was like a couple of little things that I didn't much care for, but I can't really think of them honestly. We've been gushing about this movie for so long now. It's all the bad is just kind of floated away.
Oh, gotcha. That's good. I like it when that happens.
Yeah, especially when it's a movie that you chose, right, Joe?
Yeah.
If you like 10 out of 10.
What do you think this movie sort of compares to Pan's Labyrinth in its themes?
Ooh.
Yes.
Yeah. And it feels a little like Pan's Labyrinth in a lot of ways too.
It's got a fairy tale storybook quality to it. There's sort of a real world and an imaginary world. There's a Spanish language element to it.
But in Pan's Labyrinth, it's filmed in such a way to make it feel vague enough. In this movie, it's not vague at all because
Oh yeah, that's true.
what the
Yeah,
story's being used for is
for sure.
a much different
Is it
beast.
different? Well, and like we could go even further in the other direction and compare it to like The Princess Bride. I mean, like the two movies are doing almost exactly the same thing.
Well, this
One
movie
is
does
just
such a better job of showing the power of stories
yeah,
than like Princess Bride or Pan's Labyrinth, in my opinion. Like
so
the
much,
way
dude.
that we see how this story directly affects the two characters building the story together and what it means to them
I mean,
is
it
a
saves
vibe
his
that I
life.
did not get from Princess Bride.
No, absolutely not. I mean, yeah, it literally saves his life. Like that's pretty fucking potent right there. Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
I was gonna say I think I kind of like The Princess Bride. Last time
Yeah,
I
I
saw it
do.
15
Oh,
years
hell
ago.
yeah.
I do as well.
It's a fucking awesome movie, but it's just a pure comedy for the most part.
That's true.
This really evokes a lot of emotions, but I just found it interesting. Like as I was like nearing the end of the movie, I was just like, this is just The Princess Bride, but like more everything.
Yeah, there's no other movie that I would say if you like this one, you might also like.
Yeah, maybe some
Honestly,
Gilliam flicks.
maybe something like that if you're
The
just
Pan's
in.
Labyrinth.
Yeah.
They definitely felt similar.
I would recommend Pan's Labyrinth on the back of this movie.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'd also recommend The Devil's Backbone, also made by Guillermo.
Yeah, I gotta watch that. Now that you've told me like the other time that's like kind of the precursor in a way to Pan's Labyrinth.
It's like its twin, yeah.
I'm fucking in, buddy. That's all you gotta tell me. Hey, there's another movie like Pan's Labyrinth. When? Where?
Close, yeah.
Pump it into my fucking blood veins right now. Like I need it.
Yeah. It's like the horror counterpart to Pan's Labyrinth.
Oh well, I mean,
Big
Pan's
Fish.
Labyrinth already pretty horrific.
Big
so.
Fish. Big Fish is a good rec for this, yeah.
Next to this, yeah, I just saw it on Knacker's screen over here, and I've seen Big Fish a couple times, and that would 100% be a good companion piece to this.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Haven't seen it before.
It's really good. You should watch it.
I've heard, yeah. I wanted to talk for like a minute here about a couple of the themes that weren't necessarily spoken, although we've kind of like, talked of them. I love that a large part of this movie is just based on like the theme of the joy and innocence of childlike imagination, and obviously we've mentioned that many times, but just that is like an overall overarching theme for this movie, and he captures that feeling so fucking well in a way that like the Never-Ending Story fucking couldn't even get close to.
Agree.
Yeah, and I think that's really important because it just, I don't know, it lends some kind of credence to this movie that he was able to hit so right on the head with that. I also like that they used Christianity, or like some whatever religion that is, Catholicism, Christianity, because there's like a Jesus Christ on the wall at one point. I like that they use that specifically because whenever a movie, like a period piece especially, uses like religion in those kind of ways, it lends credence to it in my eyes. Not to use the same word again, but yeah, like it makes it seem more realistic to me. Not that I care for or against Christianity. That is what whatever. But I don't know. It always makes a movie feel more realistic in my eyes when they use that kind of shit. Well, obviously. And then also I liked that another overall theme is raison d'être, like your reason for being, because like Lee Pace at this point has no reason for being, like Roy, I should say. He has no reason to live. And then Alexandria gives him a reason to live by the end of the movie, which is super fucking powerful. And obviously we've talked about that scene a lot too. That's such a powerful scene, but there literally is like a split second where he like stops crying, I'm pretty sure near the end, and realizes like, oh, I have a reason to live now. This little girl, like the connection that we've made and like and then they never see each other again, according to the movie, right? But that
It was. I don't think it's so much her as much as it was the story that they built together, helping him deal with the pain of the loss of the love of his life.
I could get behind that a bit, yeah. I do think it is in large part due to her, like and
I mean,
he
she
has
definitely plays a
connection
part,
with
but
her,
I don't think she's the impetus for him healing.
Sure. I don't agree. I agree somewhat. But yeah, I really liked that.
Let's get into ratings. I forget how we normally do it. Do I go first or last?
We're supposed to
whatever.
cue it, but instead we just kind of all holler it at each other. So,
All right, 3, 2, everybody yell on one.
Well, I'll go first. I love this movie. It's a masterpiece in my eyes. When I've done a lot of research into it the past few days, it's only made me love it more and respect it more for being a movie made in a way that no other movie has been made and probably will never be made again. So I give it a 10 out of 10.
Fuck
What do you
yeah.
think, Nick?
he asked you.
Oh, you asked me?
Yeah.
No, the other knack.
Yeah, right. My replacement.
No, impossible.
God, I
They're-
don't know.
they're-
I don't know
they're
how I
gonna-
went through this without giving it like any consideration for deductions or anything like that. But
What's your vibe of it? What's your heart tell you?
9
Nice.
out of 10. I guess mainly deductions only for the fact that the crew had to be lied to.
Oh, that's like a plus, buddy. Come on.
Yeah. I know. The way I was talking about it before, just giving directors freedom to
It is
do
morally
what they want
shaky
to
ground. I
get
get
to.
that.
Yeah, it's a moral deduction. That's all it is. But no, it's easy 9 out of 10.
What the fuck? Coming from you, Knack? That is very interesting. Not that you're immoral, but like your movie tastes.
You're the most immoral guy.
Yeah. You're a real piece of shit,
Aliens
dude.
because they didn't know the alien was going to pop out of the dude. Is that what we're doing now?
No, just some of the movies that Knack watches are, pretty fucked up.
Listen, I love the fucking Shining, and that movie broke the hell out of Shelley Duvall. So
Yeah,
Fair enough.
I do
What do
think
you
I
got?
tend to give a lot of movies padded ratings because I don't always look for deductions.
Mm.
Like if something's obvious enough, I'll take a note of it and probably end up putting a deduction point. But in most cases, I just love watching these movies. I've loved watching pretty much every single one that we put down.
Oh, I'm
Same
from the
here.
heart, dude. I'm just like straight emotion.
Yeah.
How do I feel about this movie at the moment?
What do you think, Will?
Oh, 10 out of 10, dude. Fucking 11 out of 10. This might be one of the best movies we've ever watched. Definitely one of the best movies I've ever watched. And I don't know, I didn't have any complaints like pretty much at all, like I said, and the ones that I did just kind of in the face of how fucking impressive this movie is. And like you said, like after hearing some of that shit with the production and stuff, like that just elevates it even more in my eyes. I don't care about morals or ethics, so fucking with the
good.
cast and crew to get good. Fucking with the cast and crew, I think, to get a better movie, as long as like we talked about, as long as they're not going too far, like that I think that's fair game, and it fucking worked. This movie is beautiful. It's sad. It's adorable. It's goofy. It tells two compelling and interesting stories at the exact same time, which is also really fucking impressive, because we've talked about this before too. A lot of movies that we watched have like two things going on, and they really should have just focused on one or the other, or at least, in my eyes, I felt that way about a few movies that we've watched. This movie does two different things and pulls them off spectacularly. I also love the production value. Some of the cinematography and the transitions especially were literally the best I've ever seen. Like that butterfly one will sit in my brain for the rest of my life. That's fucking unbelievably good.
I got to give late praise for the costumes. The costumes,
dude, the
movie
costumes
really hit.
You know what else we didn't even talk about? The soundtrack, dude. The soundtrack's fucking great. Like it's so good. It fits the movie so well. Like just everything, dude. This movie literally had it all, and I'm fucking here for it. Great rec, Joe. Great rec. 10 out of 10, yeah.
Thank you. What do you think, Jeff?
Oh, 10 out of 10 for sure.
Nice.
Yeah, it's just a killer movie. I will definitely be watching it again, if not a couple times.
Yeah.
Like I was saying before the cast, like I'm pretty sure you recommended like probably one of my top 3 movies of all time. Like,
Dude.
holy shit.
Wow.
I told Beth right after watching, I was like, you fucking have to watch this, and I'm definitely gonna make sure my kiddo watches it when he's old enough to, you know, kind of understand it a little bit.
Yeah, it has an R rating, and Tarsem was flummoxed by that because the monkey dies.
There's those like bodies hanging like a chandelier.
That body chandelier. I wrote that in my notes. What the fuck was that about?
And like, there's a lot of talk and depiction of suicide in this movie too. But I don't know if that would earn an R, but it is heavy, and in comparison with everything else going on in this movie, I could
see the reasoning behind it.
Yeah, it all kind of adds up.
We ready for my rec?
Yeah.
Oh baby.
Yeah, you think you are, because it's Bright, baby.
God.
We're going Bright for sure.
Oh no.
I almost chickened out.
This is gonna be good. I mean, it's gonna be really bad.
This is gonna be such a wild movie to follow this movie with.
Good God. Literally the best to literally the worst.
Simply because only the title's been dropped. It is 2017's Bright, starring Will Smith and Joel Edgerton, done by David Ayer, who I'm already not a huge fan of as a director, but
he did like the original Suicide Squad and shit.
Oh, that movie is real bad, dude.
Not familiar with his work.
Okay.
Yeah, Joe's like, I don't watch that kind of trash.